By 2029, North Carolina will be short 760,000 homes. Wake County alone needs 110,000 units it doesn't have, while Mecklenburg County will need roughly 111,000 units. That's not a projection. That's a mathematically certain catastrophe. And right now, in 10 Carolina cities, working families face an impossible choice: spend half their income on rent or leave town entirely. Teachers are sleeping in cars. Soldiers can't afford housing near their own base. And one coastal city will reveal at the end just lost 8% of its home values in 12 months. We're about to show you exactly which cities are ground zero for this crisis. Let's start with number 1, Asheville. The mountain city that once symbolized affordable Southern charm is now suffering the worst housing crisis in the Carolinas. As you drive into Asheville today, you'll see something you never expected. Teachers and nurses living in their cars, families camping in tents under Interstate 240, and displaced residents packed into overpriced RV parks. Hurricane Helene destroyed thousands of homes across western North Carolina. But here's what nobody's telling you. Asheville's housing nightmare started long before the storm hit. Home prices had already climbed to $595,000, pricing out the very people who make this city run. Before Helene, finding an available rental was nearly impossible. 8 months after the hurricane, the situation turned catastrophic. Hundreds of eviction notices have been filed with no protection for families who survived the flood. The government sent disaster funding, but rebuilding takes years. Meanwhile, any home that hits the market vanishes within hours because there's simply nothing available. This isn't just a housing shortage, this is a humanitarian crisis unfolding in real time, and it's getting worse every single day. Let's proceed to the next most affected city in Carolina. Number 2, Charlotte. As we drive south on I-77 into the Queen City, the skyline looks impressive. But behind those good looks lies a brutal affordability trap. You need to earn about $146,000 to afford Charlotte's median-priced home in 2025. According to Canopy MLS, Charlotte added plenty of new housing in 2024, even creating a small surplus, which means supply finally caught up. So why can't people afford homes? Because the affordable end of the market has almost completely disappeared. Houses once priced for first-time buyers are now rare, and most new construction targets higher-income residents. Charlotte's median home price continues to climb, and many sellers are still holding out for last year's prices. Buyers, meanwhile, simply can't qualify for what's available. Renting isn't much better. Average apartments still cost well over $1,000 a month, putting pressure on families who used to rely on Charlotte's lower cost of living. Let me now take you east to our next city in the Research Triangle. Number 3, Raleigh-Durham. Right at the heart of the tech hub that became a housing nightmare, Raleigh-Durham is another area grappling with a crisis. The region added thousands of high-paying tech jobs, but the housing supply never kept up. Wake County is short by tens of thousands of homes, and that shortage is hitting working families the hardest. Rents have climbed so high that many people need far more than a typical local wage just to afford a basic 2-bedroom apartment. Actually, renters need to earn $22 per hour just to afford a 2-bedroom apartment, according to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition. Some essential workers now commute from distant counties because living in the Triangle is out of reach. On the home buying side, affordable houses under $300,000 disappear within days. With rising evictions and soaring demand, Raleigh-Durham has gone from an affordable tech hub to one of the toughest housing markets in the Southeast. Before we cross into coastal territory, drop a comment if you're seeing similar patterns in your city. Number 4, Wilmington. Heading southeast to the coast, we land in a city where ocean views come with a financial undertow. Wilmington's home prices have dipped recently, but that hasn't made the city any easier to live in. Rents keep rising faster than wages, leaving more than half of renters struggling to keep up. Many young workers, especially those in service and tourism jobs, now rely on roommates or move farther inland just to stay housed. A big part of the pressure comes from large investment firms that bought up huge portions of the city's apartment stock during the boom. Now that demand has cooled, they're still pushing rents higher even as vacancies sit empty. For families hoping to buy, insurance has become the new deal breaker. With a large share of properties facing long-term flooding risk, premiums have surged, and coastal homes that once seemed attainable now require near six-figure incomes to maintain. Add in rising construction costs, and Wilmington's old reputation as a budget-friendly beach city has all but vanished. And if you think the coast looks rough, wait until you see what's happening in the Triad. Number 5, Greensboro. Turning inland toward the Piedmont Triad, we run into a housing crisis almost no one is paying attention to. Greensboro isn't dealing with skyrocketing prices like the big metros. Its problem is the opposite. Home value growth has nearly stalled, yet the city still can't build enough housing for the people coming in. Massive projects like the Toyota battery plant and Boone Supersonic are set to bring tens of thousands of new jobs, but Greensboro doesn't have anywhere near the inventory to support that growth. Fewer than 500 homes were on the market recently, and most renters are already stretched thin after years of rising rents. What makes the situation worse is that the city planned for more housing but never delivered it. Millions were approved for new construction and affordable projects, yet only a fraction has been spent, while buyers have a little more negotiating power today. Wages haven't kept up, and new builds aren't arriving fast enough to matter. Greensboro's crisis isn't loud, but it's serious and growing by the day. Leaving the Triad behind, the crisis takes a completely different shape in the mountains, and it's one of the most extreme housing shortages in the entire state. Number 6. Boone. As we climb into the high country, the views get better, but the housing situation gets worse. Boone has become one of the hardest places to live in North Carolina, not because prices are rising slowly, but because there's almost nothing available to buy at all. Homes that do hit the market are priced far beyond what most locals can afford, and starter homes have practically disappeared across the entire region. Boone relies heavily on tourism, Appalachian State University, and a large retiree community. Yet the people who keep those sectors running can't find a place to live anywhere nearby. Service workers, university staff, and even some essential employees now commute long distances from neighboring counties because it's the only option. The terrain makes new construction expensive, and years of underfunded housing programs haven't helped. Even renting has become unrealistic, with wages nowhere close to what's needed to afford a basic apartment. Boone's housing market isn't just tight, it's shutting out the very community that keeps the town alive. And as we leave the mountains behind and head south, we reach a city where the housing crisis hits the people who can least afford instability, the men and women serving in the U.S. military. Number 7. Fayetteville. Driving south toward Fort Liberty, we enter a community built around the military. Yet many service members can't afford to live here. Fayetteville's home prices have climbed steadily, and even with military housing allowances, the numbers don't add up. High interest rates and a weak local job market make buying difficult for families who move every few years and can't risk being stuck with a home they can't sell. That pushes most soldiers and their families into the rental market, where prices continue to rise and affordable options are scarce. On-base housing isn't a reliable solution either. Long-standing maintenance problems, from mold to failing plumbing and electrical systems, have left many families hesitant to live there, and major repairs are still years away. With so few homes for sale and rents growing faster than allowances, military families are left choosing between long commutes, unsafe units, or financial strain. When those serving the country can't secure stable housing near their duty station, it's a sign of a deeper system failure. Now we head west into Forsyth County, where the crisis looks different again. Not a boom, not a shortage, but a slow freeze that's catching both locals and investors off guard. Number 8. Winston-Salem. Winston-Salem used to be the affordable alternative to the rest of the state, but that reputation is fading fast. Home prices have climbed beyond what many local incomes can support, and the market is now stuck in an uncomfortable middle ground. Too expensive for residents, yet too sluggish for investors who flooded in during the boom. Many of those investor-owned flip properties are sitting unsold, and listings are lingering far longer than they did just a couple of years ago. Mortgage applications have dropped sharply, a clear sign that buyers are pulling back. As demand cools, price cuts are becoming common, especially in the middle-tier homes that usually sell quickly. Even with softening activity, the market is still out of reach for many longtime residents. The city reinvented itself around tech, medicine, and higher education, but housing never kept pace with the wages of the people who keep those industries running. What was once a safe, affordable haven is now a market losing momentum, with no clear direction ahead. And as we cross the state line into South Carolina for our next city, the crisis takes another turn. This time, it's the investors who are sounding the alarm. Number 9. Columbia. This state capital is dealing with a housing problem unlike anything in the Carolinas so far, an investor-driven oversupply. During the boom, large investment firms bought up entire neighborhoods expecting endless rent growth. Now that rents have slipped in several parts of the city, those same investors are unloading properties fast, flooding the market with far more homes than buyers are ready for. The sudden spike in inventory has slowed sales dramatically. Homes are sitting longer, sellers are offering incentives they never would have considered a year ago, and bidding wars have disappeared. Even with more choices on the market, higher interest rates mean many local families still can't take advantage of the opportunity. Columbia's steady government workforce usually shields the city from big housing swings, but this time, the market is reacting to forces outside local control. With more homes piling up and fewer buyers stepping forward, Columbia has quickly shifted into a buyer-friendly market, at least for those who can still afford to buy. And finally, as we turn toward the upstate, we reach the last stop on this list, a city overflowing with homes but running out of buyers. Number 10. Spartanburg. Many real agents and other circles marketed this city as the affordable alternative to Greenville, but the reality on the ground tells a very different story. The city is now dealing with one of the biggest inventory surges in the entire region. New subdivisions stretch across the suburbs, filled with homes that builders can't move, no matter how many incentives they offer. Free upgrades, temporary rate buydowns, and big discounts have become the norm because every extra day those homes sit empty costs builders money. Even with all this supply, affordability never truly returned. Many residents who bought during the peak are now struggling as higher living costs eat into their budgets. Foreclosure filings have already ticked up, a sign that some homeowners are reaching their breaking point. Spartanburg's problem isn't a lack of homes, it's a mismatch between prices and local wages. What looked like a booming market has turned into a risky one, where oversupply hides deeper financial stress. For anyone thinking of buying here, caution isn't optional, it's essential.